Right on.
So my license February, the end of January, something like that.
Okay.
And then what was the other question? Where I'm from?
Where you're from and what made you decide to get into real estate?
Okay. From Spanish Fork, Utah. I think that there's a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is I want to be in a career where I can have really just where there's an opportunity of growth. It's not just a stagnant level, as well as I want to have like time freedom, and I like working with people. So I've been loving it so far.
Yeah, well, you're in the right industry.
Okay, I'm Kaylee Kohler. I'm from American Fork, and I've had my license since April. Stopped coming, and now I'm back. And then the reason I got into real estate, I had a really good friend of mine that was an agent, and yeah, it's inspiring. So
Right on.
follow in the footsteps.
Perfect.
I'm Alexi Robledo. I've been an agent for maybe 3.5 months now. And the reason I got into it, I'm also from Springville. The reason I got into it is also for the same reason, time. I can choose when I work and how much I work. And it's very rewarding if you work hard.
It is. And this is the business that whatever amount of work you put into it, you will see it in return.
Exactly.
So it's not like any other job where you work your guts out and still stay at the same level. So if you guys put in work, you will 100% succeed in this. So that's why I love it. Well, cool. Are you guys in the back going to join us or probably not? No? You're good. I just want to make sure. Okay. So today we are discussing how to win with buyers. How many of you are dealing with buyers right now? Yes? Kind of. Okay. Have they like expressed interest, or have you signed something with them, or?
Basically, I just like put something on Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Or like something I reached out to that I was an agent, and so I was put in contact with her. I got a phone number. I got in contact with. So
right on, right on. You guys? Anybody?
Sellers.
Sellers? That's even better, but okay. Nothing yet? Okay, that's all right. So now that you've got a listing, or you're working with sellers at least, how can you leverage that to work with more people? Because the ideal conversion is for every one seller you have, you get 2 other clients, 2 other transactions from that. So how are you going to be leveraging that to get more buyers? Open house. Right on, right on. How's it going? What's your name?
Rodney Jones.
Rodney?
Yep.
Right on. Nice to meet you, Rodney. Nope, you're good. Well, perfect. So open houses, marketing, Facebook ads, all of that good stuff, right? Neighborhood knocking, the fun part of it. Yeah. Right on. Okay. So we've got some potential buyers, nothing set in stone yet, but what are some ways that you guys are actively looking for buyers or new clients, at least? Open houses? Okay. Yep. It'll kick up here soon, though. Open houses. What else? There's one that everybody should be doing. SOI. What'd you say? That's awesome. Okay. Classes. This thing is wobbly. Okay. What else? Anything else? Any other lead gen approaches to finding door knocking? Okay. Do you door knock a specific neighborhood, or do you door knock like just anywhere? Do the neighborhood before the open house. Perfect. That's awesome. Get some community engagement. Okay, right on. So with these 4, these are probably the biggest forms of lead gen, or the most efficient forms of lead gen that in your guys' position you can be doing. SOI is number 1 always. Everybody you know should know that you're in real estate. Okay, whether that's like I've had people that I literally went to elementary school with, and I haven't talked to him since, but I reached out to him again, and they're actually looking to either buy a home this year or do something this year. They've got real estate in their plans. And the only reason that I know that is because I reached out to him again, right? That should be done even with people you have not talked to in forever. Okay, just cultivate that relationship again, build it up. As far as other lead gen approaches, how do you guys approach an open house to make sure that that is the ultimate leverage point? Because the open houses can be really, really good. So what are you guys doing to make sure that they are actually producing some results? Okay, sign-in sheets, follow up with steady follow-up. I actually got in trouble for that just not too long ago, but yeah, no, for doing it. This person got mad at me for following up, which is a good thing. So, but but yeah, that's what you should be doing regardless of what people say. So what else? Raffle, do a giveaway. Yeah. So believe it or not, with open houses, script practice is actually a very important part of that. When you know scripts and how to handle people in an open house, that's also a great way for you to be able to leverage that. There's a guy that I started watching on YouTube. I can't even remember his name. I'll send the video to Ritz after this so you can send it to you guys. But basically, first thing was his signage, right? He says he does 25 to 30 signs. That's a lot of signs. We don't need to do quite that much, but to ultimately leverage it, you get it from all the way from the main highway all the way through the neighborhood to your house, to the open house, right? So people know exactly where you are. Then when you are in the open house, have people coming through, you want to make sure that everybody that comes into that house signs in. And if you know it's going to be a busy open house, tag team it with somebody. I almost always tag team an open house with somebody, just because a lot of houses surprise you. You never know how much traffic you're going to get. We had recently in January, we had one in Alpine. In the 3 hours we were there, we had probably 200 people go through that house. And so there's no freaking way I could have done that by myself. Even with Jake Bowers there with me, we still didn't get everybody included. So it's very important to make sure you're tag teaming it, or at least have enough agents there to gather everybody in. And then getting them to sign in can sometimes be motivated by a giveaway, like you were saying, or just tell them for the seller security, they've asked that we have everybody sign in, right? Then that way they give you the right information. There's no debate about it. It's just, you have to do it. Sorry. Like, that's the requirement for our open house. So do it. Then after that, consistent follow-up, making sure that, you know, you're getting as much eyes and attention on that listing as possible. And if it doesn't work, have a backup plan. If they don't like that house in the moment, pull up listings that they be ready to pull up other listings or options in the area that they would be attracted to, right? So you're talking to them, kind of figure out their criteria. And then if you kind of judge what they're feeling with the house, and then you can just basically pull from that. Like, oh, okay, well, hey, we've actually got these other homes in the area. I can show you this right after the open house today. When's a good time that works for you, right? Things like that. Just making sure that you're consistent in that moment, because they're right there, motivated, and the chances of them answering you after the open house is very slim. So most often they'll either say, oh yeah, I'm not interested, or they'll just say, no thanks. So getting them engaged right there when they're actually interested is very important. Awesome. So, and then classes. Who said they were doing the class? You. What? So it was the first time home buyer class. Have you started inviting people to it, or how are you marketing that?
So I mean, there's a lender that is for it. Yeah, we made a couple flyers. We made some social media flyers on the story stuff.
Right on.
And then we're actually we're getting 250 door hangers printed out, and tomorrow we're just gonna go to new apartments and just on all the doors there. So we'll see how it goes with that.
That's exactly what I did that not too long ago, and it works. You struggle to find some qualified buyers in college housing, but it works. So do that consistently and it will work, I promise. And You are? They work. And something, so have you guys heard about family reunion that just happened? Yeah. So we were at that, and they actually talked about doing seminars for sellers as well. That's not with buyers, but I'm just going to include that you can do seminars for sellers, investors, and first-time home buyers. Like those are all things that you can do, and they work. You get community engagement, you get local people who are there because they want to be, right?
With those classes, like where do you guys hold it?
So you can like
Mhm.
or like get this room scheduled down here. Desk. We're just doing it at a responsible office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually do them here.
I'm a little bit more lucky. I'm doing it at a company, so they're on
Oh, that's nice.
housing. They're sending up invites to this.
That's way nice.
Yeah, I got a little bit.
Hey, that is a great niche to be doing. Networking is huge. If you guys can do something like that, that's an even bigger leverage point. Run social media ads, talk to your SOI, make sure that everybody you know knows about this, right? Just posting it on social media works. It gets some eyes, but let's be real, the only people that actually engage with your stories or your social media are people you're really close with, right? So trying to reach out directly to people is a good way to make sure that you're actually getting people involved, right? So that's great. That's a really good one. Just remember that with each lead gen approach, you do need to be consistent with it. You can't just give it 1 or 2 times and call it good or say that that's how it works, because it doesn't work like that. I did open houses for roughly 6 months before I even had something come out of it. And even then it was that one where we had 200 people come through. So like naturally I had something come out of 200 people, right? But the point is, a lot of people will say that it doesn't work because you do get some where it's just, you don't get anybody going through it, right? But keep doing it, keep being consistent with it. And the seminars is the same thing. If you're doing those on a regular basis, people know you. And people know you're consistently putting out this stuff and that it's valuable to those around you and to the neighborhood. They will start to spread the word. Community gets involved, and over time it'll play out. So I seriously, like, I cannot stress that enough. A lot of people get into this and do kind of the squirrel approach, just like running everywhere because there's acorns everywhere, and they don't stick with anything. And so you don't end up getting anywhere. It's just kind of the shotgun effect at first. And then once you find something that you like and are good at, stick with it and just keep doing it forever until your business is self-sustainable, basically. So cool. We've gone into some lead gen approaches of how you guys can find more. I also asked that everybody bring their buyer presentation. Did everybody do that? Did Carl let you guys know to do that? No? Okay, well, that's all right. We'll dive into that a little bit. Okay, so we've gotten ways that you guys can find a lot of people. And I'm sure, as you all know, I mean, there's 4 of you sitting here. There was 2 in the back. There's a lot more on your guys' team. The market is very saturated with agents and buyers right now. So something that is very important is, how can you guys set yourself apart from every other agent that is working in the same area, right? What are some ways you guys think you can set yourself apart, your unique value proposition? If you haven't figured it out already, like, we'll dive into that, but what are some ways?
Be a part of that and like show that you're part of that.
Yeah.
Be part of communities.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I would say set myself apart from the other. There's a lot of good agents here.
There is.
So it's not so much a matter of setting myself apart as just making them understand that even though there's a lot of good agents here, I can do just as good a job as one.
Yeah.
That you just want to make sure that they understand that you're going to do your job that you care about, that you're not just in it for fun.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you're the best agent out of 248 that
I would say, yeah, more than anything, just be genuine with them, right?
And you have, the thing about that is you have to actually care.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you're in real estate just for the money, it's probably not.
Nope. And you will see that those people who are in it for the money get trickled out very quickly. What else? If I came to you saying, hey, I've thought about buying, but my cousin's a realtor, so I think I should use them, what would you say to me? Go ahead, use your cousin. I don't care. No, no, you got to win the client. What are you guys gonna say if somebody comes up to you and kind of has that dilemma? Have you guys had that yet? At least, no, not yet. No.
I haven't had to do it by our presentations yet.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not really in a position to like show other people numbers, like higher like myself right now, but
You're right, but you're also wrong in the sense that you're not very qualified. You are totally qualified. When you become the expert, that was the perfect transition into this. When you become the expert for whatever niche you're wanting to fill, if it's investing, if it's home selling, if it's just normal buyers, whatever it is, but you figure out your niche or what you're interested in, or you said that, your interests, and being genuine about it, you genuinely care when you're working behind something you love, right? You're a genuine human being when you're working towards something you love. When you study that field and become the expert, people notice the fire. People notice that you're actually knowledgeable, that you can do a good job regardless of the amount of experience you have in it. For example, in investing, Utah is not a very cash flow friendly environment, right? So how can you figure out ways that people can still invest? Well, there's the appreciation aspect of it, right? There's still plenty of ways that people can make money in Utah while investing in real estate. There's the appreciation. And that's where you can study last year, what did the market do? Well, they predicted 20%, and the market in Utah Valley was almost 30%. We were just shy of 30% appreciation. So if you bought a $500,000 house, yada, 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 you show them the numbers, what that would look like had they bought a house at the beginning of last year, right? And then this year, what are they predicting again? 20%. Noticing a trend? Things are looking the exact same as they were last year. Things are just as crazy. Buyers are looking just as hard. If you bought a home right now, not only do you score low interest rates, but you're also scoring a better price before you see even more appreciation. That sounds much more appealing. Hey, you should buy a house so you can cash flow 50 bucks. Like, no, nobody's going to do that. Nobody likes that idea, right? But if you can sell them on, yes, you only cash flow maybe 50 bucks, but when you make 50K this year in just the appreciation, that rolls over into your other assets, into your other investments, right? You can take from that and invest more. So becoming an expert in whatever field you guys are interested in, or whatever it is that sets you apart, regardless of your time, is going to make you look like a freaking veteran. Okay. So what are some, I guess, what are some areas that you guys have been studying, whether it's been a neighborhood, whether it's been investing strategy? What is a specific area that you guys have been drawn to in your business? Open houses. So basically the marketing and selling of a home, right?
Yeah, what to do, how to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
What to do before, what to do during, what to do after.
Okay. Leveraging listings. Okay. Who else? Investing. Okay. That's a big one for me too. So that's a good one. What else? Investing. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Most people's investing.
a big part of real estate.
Right.
If you're an agent, especially once you get successful, and you're not doing some kind of like that's passive income.
Right. Right. Okay. So although that's a huge one, with normal home buyers, they really don't tend to care too much about that.
Especially first time home buyers.
Right, right. Maybe long term, right? You can say like you can show them how they can play that into long term wealth building and investments and all that. But as far as a normal person just looking for their first home or whatever, what can you guys do to be an expert for them? What area are they looking in? How can you be an expert on that scenario?
What are you talking about, like just looking at the market reports for that area, that type of
Yeah,
stuff?
studying the market. Like, what are some things that you guys can look for so that they think you guys are this just so-called expert and veteran in that area? Recent changes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So you can always go to list reports for every house that they're interested in and print out the sheet that shows, where the stores are, schools, what schools,
Yes.
fire departments, all that kind of stuff.
Local.
Parks,
We'll just say like local amenities, right?
list reports will print out, give you all that.
Right. Something even cooler is knowing what's coming, right? What amenities are coming into that neighborhood. For example, in Eagle Mountain, Google announced they're going to be building their headquarters out there. So we know that that's going to be thriving within the next 5 to 10 years, right? When you're showing stats like that, that makes everybody realize, oh man, like this guy knows his crap. This is awesome. When you tell somebody, yes, I would recommend buying out in Eagle Mountain or Saratoga Springs because you guys will see a ton of growth there over the next 5 years.
Right across the street here, Shoney's built the Top Golf.
The Top Golf.
There's a mall coming in.
Yeah. Vineyard's another huge area, even though it's already skyrocketed, there's still more that's going. So it's going to just keep going up, right? Like knowing what's coming into the area is a huge vantage point. So those are all amazing ways that you guys can provide value to some people, right? Because a lot of people, they come into the idea of home buying, they're just like, yeah, I'm just looking for a house, right? And when it turns into, okay, that's awesome. What if we can find you a house that really benefits you long term? Right? What if we can find you a place that is going to just completely leverage this and someday you can get an even nicer house?
Or even if they're showing them 5 houses today and they're like, well, we really like this one, and we really like this one. And you're like, oh, okay, but you know that this one is okay, but this one is going to have a top golf.
Exactly.
It's going to have, Google is going to be here. And so your property, I know these are all appreciating it this much, but this one's going to appreciate once Google gets here. Once all,
Right. Right.
and then they see your value even more. It's like, oh, okay, he's not just showing us home. He's
Yeah. Yeah. Which almost all of my friends or clients that reach out to me about buying a home, I almost always refer them to Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, or Eagle Mountain, because those are the areas that are probably going to be seeing the highest amount of growth for still a decent price range, right? I mean, out in Vineyard, you're looking at almost 400,000 for a condo right now. And so it's like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's still going to go up, but for the sake of affordable housing, that's the area I push them to because I know there's going to be a ton of growth over there the next few years, right? And you're going to see a lot of traffic going in and out of there because people are going to be cashing out on that equity within the next few years, right? They'll build equity, cash out, sell again, and it just keeps flopping just like that. So being an expert, knowing what's coming in, recent changes that have happened in the area, and then listing reports of what's going on in the market. Most people don't even actually know what's going on. They just know it's crazy. But when you come up and say, look, you could get 500,000 for your house, even though you paid 420 for it last year, that kind of blows people's minds when they see those numbers, right? So when you can throw out list reports, local amenities, anything that is coming up in the neighborhood, local events, that's a huge vantage point for you guys. So now we're going to dive into what happens when you snag an appointment or do actually get somebody that is interested in doing business with you, right? The presentation part of it. So nobody brought it. Would anybody feel comfortable doing some script practice with it, some role play with your buyer presentation? No? Does anybody have it yet? Or has anybody gone over it yet?
My listing presentation, which I've really gone through, but
Okay.
I've never even,
Which
I
said,
don't know why I've never even thought about making a buyer presentation.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's all right. That's all right. Okay. Well, then we'll back up a little bit and we'll actually go through that and then we'll. So I'll kind of help you guys at least structure it, right? I mean, you've got the template on Canva, you've got some resources that are available to you. But I'll kind of add in some stuff that, maybe like some qualifying questions, some ways that you guys can market yourself in that process. Okay. So realistically, in the home buying process, agents don't do a whole lot that's different from each other, right? We put in offers, we send our clients listings, and we get under contract, and it's basically all the same process, right? By the time we get a buyer to closing them, nobody does anything a whole lot different. So in the buying consultation, we're going to look at some ways that you guys can make it sound like you actually do a lot different, but in reality, it's basically all the same. So we'll start out with the qualifying questions, okay? So the qualifying questions are basically ways that you can figure out, one, what their price range is, what they're looking for, their criteria, but also knowing their urgency and how committed they really are to this process. Because if you don't do this part effectively, you may be wasting your time with somebody that really does not care, right? They're just kind of passively looking, might do it, might not, because you didn't do this part right, okay? So what are some questions you can start asking somebody to know of their scenario, their thoughts, their case, whatever they're trying to accomplish with this?
The basic stuff, where,
Where?
how much,
How much? I would say with how much have you been pre-approved? Because if they haven't been pre-approved, your first action should be sending them to a lender so they get that done, right? Because you can't do anything without that.
time frame.
Yep.
Start getting into the why
Yep.
and why and why.
And why?
Pretty deep, why,
Yep.
why are you moving here and why is that important and why,
Yeah. No, I love that. Going 3 layers deep, basically, right? There's always a very deep meaning behind what they're doing, right? Home buying is almost never, if it's a normal home, it's never a logical decision. It's all emotional based. Nobody buys their home just because they're like, that's what investors do, right? Nobody buys their own home out of a logical decision. It's all emotional, right? They want a home that looks nice, that they can see their family in, that they can visualize just this grand vision of life living there, right? So we want to magnify that. We want to expand that and go 3 layers deep on why. Why are you moving here? Oh, because of work. Okay, cool. Why is that? Why is this area important for you? Oh, because I want a place for my family to grow up. Okay, cool. So then would you want a yard? Would you want some space for your kids to grow and play, or would you want like dialing in their criteria so they start visualizing like, oh yeah, that family life would be amazing. That'd be awesome. You make it such an emotional process that they're just like, they're already visioning it, right? And so that one is huge, that finding out why and just diving in deeper and deeper on that. What else? So like long-term plans of staying, like long-term play. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think another one too would be knowing where they stand in that relationship with you in that moment, basically saying, okay, if all of this makes sense by the end of our meeting, are you okay? Or trying to figure out how to structure this. Yes, basically, yeah. If this all makes sense by the end of this, would you have any problem signing? They're not going to say no. If it makes sense, yeah, you're already getting them to say yes, right? I'm sure Shoni's talked about that with a few of you, or Carl, getting them to say yes throughout this entire thing just hardwires that brain to say it by the end, right? So we want to know, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about? Questions, yes.
Yeah, get them to say yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I don't know why my train of thought just left. Okay, so basically we want to ask them those qualifying questions, get them to say yes, that they will sign with you if it makes sense, right? Then you go into your home buying process. Hey, look, Alexei, I'm going to send you listings as soon as they hit the market every single day. Okay, any brand new listings that come on are going to go directly to your email, and you'll be the first one to see them. Really, that's just hot sheets, right? We set them up on listing alerts. It sends it automatically. They think they've got this just amazing agent who is so on top of it because they send them listings right away. Yeah, exactly. Hot sheets. Yeah, that's on. Have you guys learned how to do that? It's on the MLS. So on Utah Real Estate, you guys can go in and set up hot sheets. So basically go in and go into the listing alerts, and then you'll submit your client's info, say, create a listing alert. Okay, perfect.
We don't have an option like that in Command, right?
I don't think so in Command.
CRM I had before, you just did it through the CRM.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go talk to him after and figure out how to get that set up. I know that on Red Sign with us, our CRM kind of does that as well. Like we've got our own website that kind of sends them everything automatically. But yeah, in your guys' case, you don't have that. Use Utah Real Estate, set up those listing alerts. As soon as you get a client that says they're interested, dial in their criteria, figure out exactly what they're looking for, right? And then start sending them stuff. In that process, really they want you to be on top of it, and they want it to be much more the stress on you than it is on them, right? So when we're sending them listings, we want to also make sure that that criteria is dialed in very specifically, right? We want to make sure that it really is what they're looking for. We're not just wasting their time going and looking at all these houses, because when you do that, they get buyer's fatigue a lot faster. They think, oh, well, he's not really, they get frustrated. You're not looking at anything that they're actually interested in, right?
I just showed two houses I was going to show two houses the other night for another agent. I showed them the first house, and I showed the same couple of houses before for this agent. And we started looking through it, and I know they've got a dog. It's a wrong line of mix, it's gonna be a bigger dog. And we're going through the whole thing, and on MLS it says on there that's under 20 pounds.
Mm.
And love the place, so they're like, oh yeah, this is great. And I said, oh, look, you guys, I should have seen this earlier, but it says that's under 20,000. And then the next house we were supposed to do had the same thing. So we ended up calling off the show because it's one of the houses that they have.
allowed their dock.
But you got to pay attention to that stuff before you start showing.
And that's how you become a rock star buyer's agent. When you see those things for people, they just think you're amazing. Maybe not in the moment, right? But
You don't get to see the house they wanted to see.
they are frustrated. But when you catch those things early on, it saves you and them a lot of frustration, a lot of trouble. So make sure that your criteria is dialed in. Make sure they know what you're going to do for them in that whole process, especially once you get under contract, right? You guys have got Jen. That's a great leverage point. So explain that process to them. After you've gone through all these, the qualifying questions, you dive into the home searching process, right? Then after that, you kind of dive into what it's going to look like when you guys are under contract. Okay. And you make it all sound all fancy by, oh, my assistant, Jen, will help you with this and this and this, right? And kind of explain that to him. Just say, oh, Jen, my assistant, takes care of all of the paperwork. She makes sure that it's all done smoothly, that nothing's missed in that process. We get all the inspections ordered for you. We get everything done in your behalf, so it's all off your plate, right? When somebody hears that, that sounds much more appealing than, oh yeah, by the way, when you get under contract, so here's a list of things that you're going to have to do, right? So you guys got a great leverage point. And I know after leaving Jen, she does a lot for you guys, like a lot. She's willing to write offers, do everything for you. Like she does a lot for you guys. So that is just incredible. Use her as a good leverage point as much as you can. Okay. So explain that process to them, the under contract, and explain why that's important to them. Make sure they know why that is important, right? To have somebody there managing that whole process, the high stakes that are in that whole thing of being under contract. Like, hey, you've got earnest money that's got to go hard or else we won't get an offer accepted. So to have somebody watching that whole process for us is huge, right? And then also something that I've seen help me when you're doing all of this is explaining like ways that you'll make offers stand out, right? Because there's a lot of offers going out on every single listing that comes up. There's a lot of buyers, a lot of agents. So how are you going to make your offer stand out? There is, I think it's 26 or 28 different points on that contract that are negotiable. So it's up to you to go through that entire contract, know it by heart, and be able to negotiate every single one of those pieces in behalf of your buyer. Become very familiar and friendly with that contract because there's so much that you guys can do to make sure that it looks better for your buyer. Okay. Chances are most listing agents won't really dive deep into everything, but good ones will, and it'll stand out 100%. When you throw out an offer like that, it will stand out a lot. So learn every piece that is negotiable and know what you guys can do to benefit your client in that situation. Any questions on that? No, we good? Okay. I think last thing that I was going to cover with the home searching process in your guys' behalf, as far as finding inventory that's off market or anything like that, get resourceful and work with builders. Get very close with builders because there's a lot of them here and there's a lot of inventory that is not posted on the MLS. You guys would actually be very surprised to find out how many homes are not listed on the MLS. I've got a lot. We actually work with, we personally work with Toll Brothers on the Lehigh Lakeview Estates. And then we work with Green Tech, which is a higher end custom builder. They don't really do like developments, but they do specific big homes and then they release it kind of thing. And I know they've got some coming up that are they're pre-built custom homes. It's weird. It's really weird, but they're high-end luxury pre-built homes. They have got one up in Traverse Mountain going up. They've got some in Mapleton going up, and then they just kind of do it sporadically, random. But they do a great job. Edge does an amazing job. Edge probably in your guys' behalf is also the best because they still do 3% BAC, which is not common anymore, especially with builders.
It's doing it, where if you do so many 3 or 4 homes in a year or something, they do it, they come to 4%.
I don't think so. I don't think so, but I actually want to find out who's doing that now.
I can't remember now, we were just talking about this, yeah, if you go, if you do 4 deals a year, maybe in 6 months.
Interesting. It might be Edge. Edge takes very good care of the agents, so use them. They do a good job building. They've got a good warranty. They're a solid company to deal with. Keystone, I know, is another good one because a lot of the time they do first come first serve. So if you can be very on top of it with them, you've got no bidding wars for your clients, which is amazing. DR Horton's another great one. And then if you've got people looking out on the other side of Utah Lake in Saratoga, there's a couple communities that are going up there that have different builders. There's the Richmond builders, there's DR Horton going up over there. And I can't remember who else, but Flagship Homes is another great one. I know I've heard negative things about Toll Brothers, but I haven't witnessed it myself. So the point is there's a lot of builders to deal with. Let's go out and find them. Yeah. So go and look online, figure out all the builders in the areas you want to specialize in. So my areas, although I don't live in those areas, but my area is basically the entire stretch of Alpine to Eagle Mountain. Like that whole area, North Valley, is my area, right? That's where I focus, and I've done most of my business up there. So pick your area, find out what builders are there, what's going on, really just become an expert in that area.
So Edge Homes, Lehigh is about as far south as they found.
Yeah. Yep. They've got Lehigh and Eagle Mountain that they're doing developments in. And then a lot more up north, yeah, in Salt Lake Valley. So that if you've got people looking in Salt Lake Valley, that's not off the limits either. Like I've got an agent that I work with at Edge. I can pass you guys his info. He works great. His name's Keegan. So finding an agent that represents the builder is also a big one because you can get on their email list. They'll send you all of their upcoming projects. Keep close tabs on them. Make sure you know what's coming up, right? And then something I've also done for higher end clients, specifically like Alpine and Highland area, because those are very limited areas. There's no new construction there. So you contact the agents, the top producing agents in that area, whether they're with another brokerage or ours, find them, call them and just say, hey, I've seen you're an expert in the area. Do you have any upcoming listings or people that have mentioned selling soon? I've got a buyer right now. Just being ambitious and resourceful, really growing your fingers off the MLS because it gets tough when they're on the MLS. That eliminates a lot of the competition that way. So being knowledgeable of what's coming into the area, who's doing what is huge.
So for example, Keegan, does he send you something monthly, weekly?
So he'll send me weekly stuff. It's kind of just whatever I ask him to send me, really. And then just whenever I've got somebody that's looking, he's my go-to.
So the trick, I guess, would be finding somebody who's
Mhm.
I tried that at a ride when I first started. I'm like, okay, I need an agent here that's gonna let me know. First guy would return my calls, and then if I finally could get him on the phone, his answers were just, yeah, no.
Yeah, that's a crappy agent. Don't deal with him.
He didn't care about customer service.
Yeah.
So I got somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. Don't deal with jerks. We don't do business with jerks. Have some respect for your own business and don't do that. So yeah. Deal with people who are genuinely going to be good agents representing you from the company because they help a lot. So any other questions, anything else that you guys might have? Anything random apart from this that you guys have? No? Right on. Some takeaways and ahas?
It reminded me that I need to get central board. So that's like I said, I've done that with the ride. Trying to do edge. I'm looking down here, but you guys are all up north. I still need to do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things and to put together a prior presentation.
Buyer presentation. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's the whole thing to set up.
Yeah. Have all of you kind of dialed in an area that you're trying to specialize in?
Right now,
Like a geographic?
point would be awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
Once I get more and start getting some business. If I could find stuff in Springville and Spanish Fork, do that, that'd be great.
Which it is the case at the beginning, right? And I think for me, the reason I have chosen to specialize in that area is because my business is just naturally kind of pulled me into that area.
It's higher end stuff that's down there.
Yeah.
It's got more growth potential.
Right.
There's a lot of good things about it.
Right. Right.
The only drawback for us would be the people like you that are in those areas. You gotta treat them.
Right.
And that just comes back to
Well, and
explaining that I understand he's great, but I also.
yeah, 100%. Like, okay, there's agents. Heather Groom. Do you guys know Heather Groom? Or Robin Perry? Have either of them taught Ignite yet? No. They're both from Highland, live in Highland, know everybody in Highland. Like, they are the agent for that area. And when I joined Red Sign, I did that open house for the Alpine listing, had 200 people come through. One of the buyers I got to close on that house. And then I picked up another client from that same open house that is from California and $2 million client. Like, the open houses do work. And because of that, I was able to start working in that area because guess what? When I went to the house, who was the expert? Me. Who had studied the area? Me. They didn't hear about anybody else from that open house. So I was the one they started working with. And since then, I've been on top of it with them. I've been sending them listings all the time and have just been really doing basically all of this, really making sure that they have that top-notch experience. And from that, I'm sure I'll see referrals down the road. And the fact that they haven't left me yet is pretty good sign that they're still somewhat happy, right? But like you said, it's just kind of whatever you can get. And from what I've been doing just in my lead gen approaches, like I said, my business has just kind of naturally started up in that whole region, just Lehigh, Highland, Alpine, and Saratoga Springs.
The great thing about that is know that area, know it well, because that's all you do. you don't have to, every time you go to do an open house, you don't have to research again, what's coming to this area, what's in this area, what's.
Yep.
Like the stuff. Like, oh, I already know all. I know that stuff. So
Yeah.
I can see that being where I'm like, well, if it's from Santa Clara to Lehigh, I'll take it right now.
Yeah.
That means if I get one in Lehigh, I gotta research what's going on there.
Right.
Really, I gotta figure out what's going on there.
Right.
But I guess that's what I didn't think about. I always just do that stuff. But it's like, well, if I could focus on one area,
It'd make it a lot easier.
then you would be even more of an expert.
Yeah. Well, and let's face it, like you can't be involved with all of Utah Valley. When you choose a specific area, you can do things to get involved with the community, start your growth there, build your connections, know people, and
So the city planning.
yeah, literally city board meetings, anything, city planning, church activities, whatever it is, local park events, a barbecue, throw a barbecue for that area and invite everybody, whatever it is, but just make sure you're involved with that area and you 100% will see business come out of it. So, and that grows your SOI. That's all people that know you for who you genuinely are. They know you as a human being, not as the salesman knocking on their door, right? So pick a community, stick with it, and grow your SOI in that. You will definitely see business come out of that. So have you guys read the Red Book? Yeah, it's got a huge list in there. For me, my go-to ones were seminars, open houses, and SOI. Almost a year now. So those are my main three that I've done, and I've seen, like I said, I didn't see anything from my open houses for the first 6 months, but now it's really taken my business higher than what it was. So I mean, it pays off if you just stick with it. So, yeah, SOI is another huge one. I did all of my deals last year from my SOI, and that's even from me being out of state. Like people just know people, like it just connects somehow. My first one was my grandparents who lived in Georgia. I didn't even know they still had a house over here, but they called me before I was licensed. And at the time I was struggling to pay my fees because I was flat broke, didn't have anything. And they called me, and they're like, hey, can you sell houses yet? And I was like, no. They're like, well, what's the holdup? I was like, I've got these fees I got to pay. They're like, oh, well, if we pay the fees, can you sell our house? I was like, yeah. So I sold their house, paid them back for the fees, and it worked out. And then after that, so he's my step grandpa, his son, my step uncle, whatever. I don't really talk to him that much, but I guess he was toying with getting into investing. So I sat down with him, figured out that the best way for him to leverage into investing was to sell his house, pay off some debt, and then buy another rental property that he could house hack. So there was 3 transactions from that one person in my SOI, right? And so, and just being in touch, it just pays off with people. So, and I've had people that they weren't even going to tell me, but just because I called them and said, hey, yeah, if you know anybody buying or selling, let me know. The next day they called me back and they're like, yeah, we're selling. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it. So it just being consistent with it, make sure you're getting in touch with everybody. It works out. Yeah. That's about all I got for you guys. Hope it was valuable. How long have you been in it for now? 3.5 months? Are you guys all new? You two? Like brand new? How about you? How long have you been licensed?
2 days ago. So
Oh.
but I've done one listing.
Were you at another brokerage? Or
I started out at
yeah.
after a couple months of and they were great, but then I can't